So, General David Petraeus has agreed to testify to Congress about the Benghazi attacks. Hopefully, we'll actually get some answers on that disaster. But of course, his testimony will be overshadowed by the drama surrounding his extramarital affair, which sounds like a movie script or a bestseller. The CIA director has an affair with a writer who is shadowing him for a book, and then they get caught because of a stupid email exchange. Now everyone in Washington wants answers. You've got the FBI investigating Petraeus, which Congress wants to do its own investigation of the FBI investigation. Sound like a plot? Sometimes life really does imitate art. Funny how that happens for author Vince Flynn. His books tend to parallel real-life scenarios. His newest book, The Last Man, is all about a CIA operative who's kidnapped in Afghanistan. I want to welcome best-selling author Vince Flynn to the program. How you doing, sir?
Doing good.
Well, you were on the radio with me today, and you didn't even want to talk about the book. You went right into David Petraeus and Benghazi.
It gets old. You know, this is my 14th book. It gets old talking about the books. The current affairs are more interesting.
One of the things in the book that I think is kind of creepy, if you replace the CIA operative with an ambassador and the security guards with former Navy SEALs, you've got Benghazi.
Yeah, it kind of foretells that crazy part of the world over there where you never know what's going to happen, where one night a local militia member is on your payroll and the next night they're shooting at you. And it's not going to get any easier as we start to withdraw from Afghanistan. And that's kind of what I wanted to portray in this book. And it was kind of a weird afterthought that I threw in the affair with the colonel and the male colonel and the female State Department employee, because it happens a lot. You hear about it over there that unfortunately this happens. These guys are away from their wives for 6-9 months and they end up doing stupid things.
Do you find when you talk to people, and I'm going to use the phrase in the know, that when you begin to find the common denominator of what they're telling you about, it sort of just lends itself to say, well, this is the thing that could happen. If all these guys are telling me what they're telling me, this is the common denominator, this is the kind of thing that can happen, it becomes a plot for a book, and then it really does happen.
It absolutely does. And I guess, I spend at least 6 months a year doing nothing but trying to be in this world mentally day in and day out and construct these plots and try to predict not only how the terrorists would act, but how our people would act. And that's why Benghazi is so frustrating. We talked about it on the air today. The State Department blew this thing from the jump. And I don't know if you saw any of the President's press conference today, but this isn't difficult. When did you find out? At what point that evening did somebody
stop
say to
telling
you,
us you're going to get to the bottom of it?
All you got to do is say,
at
about 7 o'clock, I was having dinner with my wife and Sasha and Malia, and the National Security Advisor came in and said, Mr. President, we have a tragedy. Ambassador Stevens, who you've met, is dead. At some point between 5 o'clock and midnight, he was told. And then the question is, at what time? And then what orders did he give? Did he get up from the residence and excuse himself and go down to the Situation Room? Did he ever leave the West Wing? Have you ever been in the West Wing that time of the day, 5 o'clock in the afternoon? It's like a graveyard. They all start shutting down and they're schmoozing and they're getting ready to do tours. As soon as the main principals are out of the building, the president and his cabinet, the tours start. So people are coming and going. On a night like that, all tours would have been canceled because the Situation Room would have been an absolute beehive of activity.
Well, let's go backwards for a second. Eric Nordstrom, the regional security officer, had requested more security for that embassy. It was denied.
Yep.
Now, we see redacted emails. Thank you to Cheryl Atkinson over at CBS for actually being a journalist. But the president, kind of like Fast and Furious and just about everything else, keeps telling us we're going to get to the bottom of these things. Nobody wants to know more than me. But you had a request made. You could have prevented the incident.
He said today during the press conference along these lines, and it jumped out at me, and I'm paraphrasing. He said, do you think for a second that me or anybody else in my administration wouldn't have done anything they could to protect these people? And I'm thinking, look at the TV going, well, obviously you didn't. You turned down requests for increased security, not him personally. Somebody at the State Department did, and that person should be called before Congress, and they should be fired. They blew this thing. It wasn't. We're not talking about a consulate in Switzerland. This is Libya, which outside of Afghanistan, Iraq,
on 9/11,
and Yemen is one of the most dangerous places in the world. Their own government can't promise security. That tells you it all right there. So a couple of the big questions I need to ask. Who said no to increased security? And then after that, Why was Ambassador Stevens on 9/11 leaving the fortress-like embassy in Tripoli and traveling to the consulate, which had minimal security, on 9/11 with a reduced security detail? Now, some people should be able to, from diplomatic security, because that's who's in charge of all this, somebody should be able to come in and say, here's why he made that decision on that day, but no one is telling us anything. And you can't blame the CIA. It is not their job to protect these facilities. The two SEALs who died were, clandestine service operatives for the CIA who grabbed their own weapons and ran to the sound of gunfire, unbelievably heroic, evacuated the first group of people out of the consulate, went back to the safe house, and then tried to go back and find the ambassador, and then we're back at the safe house, and that's when the mortar fire hit the roof some 7 hours later. And I am telling you, all of these various groups have op centers. State Department, CIA, Pentagon, Situation Room in the White House. They're all staffed 24/7.
And they're all
communicating with each other. And they all record everything that was said to the point where they're getting live feeds of what's going on.
And the drone video.
Drone video, security cameras on site. This thing, listen, I'd like to believe that the most likely scenario is they find out the ambassador's dead, they get the people evacuated, they think it's over, lull in the storm, and then they hit the safe house, and they got caught off guard. Just come out and say that. Come out and say that we didn't think that the safe house was compromised, and we thought it was over. There was a three-hour period or whatever it was.
But they went for 15 days with this stupid video. I want to move on